Hello, I am the Green Dragon and today I'm gonna show you a tutorial for making a ship that is capable of sending a lander to Eeloo and coming back in a single launch. And this is the ship creatively called Eeloo 1, which I used in a previous version of the game to go to Eeloo, and the video is up on my channel on YouTube in the Flags Everywhere playlist, and if you wish to see how to actually fly to Eeloo, you should go and check out that flight. But this is gonna be a video about step-by-step instructions to actually make it and for getting it onto orbit, and that's about as far as it's gonna go. So let's start a new craft and get to it, shall we? So, 3-man command pod, because using the small one is for wusses. We're gonna need a parachute, of course, and then let's just start. So, this we are gonna use an advanced SAS module because it's gonna turn slow as fuck in any case, and I have a feeling we will need the extra turning power, what with that being overhauled, although with the engines on it shouldn't be too hard. Okay, so first step, take the half-size 3-meter fuel tank, find the large landing legs and place 4 of them as low down as you can. After that we'll add some RCS like so, and make sure that they're not obscuring the ladder or the hatch on the other side. There we go. We're also gonna add some ladders like so. And the thing with this craft is, well, one of the good parts is that the lander and interplanetary stages only use one set of engines for everything, so it makes it really easy to keep down the weight, at least a bit. So here we want 2 of these tanks attached to 2 of these hardpoints, placed as high as possible. They should be placed on the decoupler, is what I'm saying. These again stacking upwards for now, because we're gonna need some RCS like so. And under that, nuclear engines, and we'll want to strap these stacks to the central pod just a smidge. There we... Why is it being weird like that? There, like that. God damn it. Game is being glitchy. Excuse me for a second as I attempt to get it to work. There we go. We will have to test this before we build further, just to make sure that the landing legs are actually long enough to reach the ground, although they certainly should be. So, save it and let's see. And the sound gets a bit twitchy when it's loading, I'm sorry about that, but there's nothing I can do about it. In any case, and we're waiting. For fuck's sake, game. Okay, there we go. We're out here. So, simple test. And the ladder can of course reach the ground, I assume. Well, it should be able to. Okay, those engines were flexing a bit as we were placing upwards, so we will want another set of struts like this from the sides, strapping the bottom of the engines down, which is kind of a thing since they are so goddamn long. Okay, and just to make sure that everything is wired together properly, and I strongly suggest you use the Kerbal Engineer Redux mod for this. It will make things significantly easier. We have 4,500 delta V in here, reference bodies, Eeloo. Thrust to weight is 3, which should be more than enough for a landing as long as you don't fuck up the landing. Okay, in order to actually get to Eeloo, we are gonna need extra fuel for this. So in order to make that happen, we are gonna add one of these fuel tanks, which will be detachable, and one of these fuel tanks here, which again will be detachable, and we'll simply dump them as they are being used up. So, to further make things easier, we'll have to meet up with this later in orbit around Eeloo. So we're gonna place some command cores along with nuclear reactors on the upper part, and that will also allow us to strap things together like so, which will prevent some, if not all, wobble. There we go. I will also place a single reactor on the pod because we now need, well, we now need power to turn things, and there is no power source on this otherwise, and we're gonna need one, since these nuclear engines don't actually produce electricity now. Alright, so far so good. So far so good. Next. Next we will want these decouplers along with these, and we will have to place them slightly more downwards. Yeah, you might have to work it a bit to be able to place it properly, but and of course the game is weird. We'll want basic winglets on this, or rather the Delta Deluxe winglets, not the powerful ones, up here on top, and we'll want the skipper engines. This will actually carry us more or less into orbit, unless it all goes horribly wrong, of course. So, okay, these struts are too far down. Want them something like this actually, because we'll be wanting to place 4 extra boosters with powerful mainsails to help carry us up towards orbit. So, again, for symmetry, mainsails and double stack of the big fuel tanks, and apparently we need to move this upwards. And don't you worry, we'll be strapping everything together properly. And again, I'll give you instructions on how to make sure that whole thing doesn't go to hell on you. Alright, this is looking good, except for that bit. That is not so good. Well, you might have to fiddle with this particular strut a bit, but it should be strapped to the... God damn it, game! Excuse me for a second as I once again try to fix weirdness. There we go. And just make sure that it's not passing through the orange fuel tank. Here you can place it slightly lower down if you really need to, I suppose. There we go. We will need to place another cap. Well, we don't need to, but okay, at this point you want to strap together the bits we have already built. So, one set of struts on the bottom, another on top, and an X shape at the joining to make sure everything is strapped together here as well and no flexing occurs, as far as that is possible. We'll want to place another winglet someplace like here, I suppose. And we also want to strap together this bit here. One here, one from the top to the command pod. Okay, and here we're gonna do it do a V shape to strap it to the next stage like that, and that should be fine. Also, 4 struts to the bottom of the skippers, elsewise this thing in the middle will flex to all hells, and we do not want that. Now, as you can see, we have nearly enough delta V already. Okay, this is the bottom one, so like so. The game apparently does not recognize. Right, I have not added the fuel lines there, of course. Okay, nearly enough delta V to actually carry us into orbit. Not quite, but nearly. So, in order to... and we have low thrust weight on the launch, which is less than ideal, obviously. So we'll be adding a set of solid boosters here. Come on, duckling. There you go, princess. Actually, no, never mind, we'll be adding the winglets a little bit differently. We can add a set here, but we'll be adding, well, like this, I suppose, or like this. Yes, like this, which should be fine and should give us enough room to add a set of detachable fuel tanks on top of what we already have here. So I'm just arranging my staging: solid boosters, then the mainsails, then the skippers, and then we ignite our nuclear engines. Okay, so far so good. I'm gonna remove that. Alrighty, alrighty. God damn it, where are the decouplers? There they are. There they are, of course they are. So we'll place 2 sets, like so. And we're gonna place some extra fuel for the mainsails, like so. Like so. We're gonna align with the top of the bottom orange tank here. Actually, what we want, how is that aligned? Yes, make sure they are properly aligned on the... close enough. God damn it. With bigger ships it can get a bit awkward. Yeah, you want it to be just far enough offset from this angle to not clip into the solid booster. And you might wish to fiddle around with how you want to attach these to make sure you can stack them up properly, but that shouldn't be too much of a problem. Okay, now these 8 extra sets of fuel tanks will be the first to detach. So, like that. Okay, now 1 strut from each stack of these to the top of that fuel tank to tie it properly to the center stack. You will need that, and tie them together at the bottom like this to prevent flexing. Right. As for this, can we arrange it in a sensible manner? We will attempt to do it like this, and that should allow us to have extra winglets. There we go. And now, just to make sure that all the things are fuel-wise are tied together properly. Main display, it shows us we have 4600 meters per second plus whatever we get from the solid boosters, which are apparently not displayed here. And that should give us enough delta V to actually get into orbit. So you need 45 to 5000 delta V to get into orbit. of curbing, provided you have adequate thrust to weight. It's best to assume that you're gonna waste a little, considering the fact that this ship has some problems with thrust to weight on the ascent. It's not horrible, but it could be better. In any case, we're gonna make, you want to add one set of launch stability enhancers to the top here and one to the bottom, and that should be enough. Also move it down far enough that the mainsails are actually in the ground, so that when you're on the launch pad it'll also be resting on the mainsails, and that should give you adequate support. Now, to make sure that the staging is correct, that is there. Okay, those 8 are, god damn it, let me see an actual coupler. No. Okay, zooming in. Damn it. Clicked outside the window there. Alright, make sure that is correct. Okay, and these are there, so to recap, these first, then the solid boosters, then the mainsails, then the skippers, and that should carry us into orbit. Now, you notice that I added 2 docking ports here. That's because, well, all of this should be redockable as necessary. So, save it one last time and go to the launch pad, and we'll actually attempt to launch this into orbit. So yeah, I'm not gonna be doing a full instruction for flying to Eeloo, but this has enough delta V to get there, land, get back, and extra fuel tanks. When you launch from Eeloo, you redock, use up whatever fuel is left in this fuel tank, and then you just head for Kerbin. And on return to Kerbin, just go for something that hits the atmosphere. Well, we'll talk once we get into orbit about how you want to head out there, and I'll show you on the map exactly how we want to go about this. I will talk you through it, I just won't do a step-by-step thing. So, well, here we go, I suppose. And we are launching. You want to burn at full clip. Well, first thing, you want to watch these really carefully, and you want to watch the overheat burn at full clip for as long as you can without blowing off your mainsails, and only then throttle down, because you need the extra thrust. Those are already done, and you see I didn't notice that quite as quickly as I might have, or should have maybe. Then, yeah, those external fuel tanks will be spent quick, watch them carefully. And of course then you watch the solid boosters, and essentially we're going for standard ascent. Keep it below 200 meters per second till you hit 10,000. After that you can pretty much start burning as you wish. You know, 140 just off the launch pad, 200 to 250 maybe at 10,000, 350 at 13,000, and after that burn as you will. Gonna throttle down slightly, manage that burn. Mainsails are looking fine. Okay, gonna turn it ever so carefully. Okay, this, you no longer have to toggle the F key to get the ASAS to fix on a heading. Now you only need to let go of the controls and it will fix on the heading you're currently pointing at. But you know, you want to be careful to make sure that it fixes on the right heading. As you saw, I turned there towards 60 degrees up angle at 10,000 kilometers, 10,000 meters. I turned to 45 at 13 and 30 at 18. And pretty much you want to be slowly but carefully turning from the point you hit. Whoa, 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 whoa. From the point you hit 45,000. God damn it. from the point you hit 10,000 meters. Okay, and we keep burning. You might want to cut the engines just before you decouple and then throttle up, which will be easier, but in any case we should have more than enough oomph to make it into orbit. Right, vessel information. Delta V, yeah, you can measure it here with the Kerbal Engineer. Okay, orbital apoapsis is going up. So far so good. So yeah, the idea is to bring the transfer stage with its extra fuel as well as the lander up in a single flight, which we seem to be managing. And yeah, this craft has worked once. I have taken it to Eeloo and back. So okay, our apoapsis is good. 80,000 is about fine. We're not that deep in the atmosphere. I'm just gonna coast till apoapsis and then we're just gonna circularize ourselves and we're gonna be fine on that. Actually, I'm gonna pre-plan the maneuver and turn the ship now because it will turn rather slowly with all that crap attached. Okay, that's 75. We have 338 left in the ship, so yeah, you need to do the actual ascent right, but that should not be a problem. Though the new SAS might make it somewhat more difficult since turning is different, but then again, you shouldn't need all 200 units of monopropellants to redock at Eeloo, so one could make the argument that you can use some of that if you really need to on the turns. So, you should be good. So now we just wait for our burn and finish getting into orbit. And there we go. You can see the periapsis going up here, and we're in orbit. We are actually in orbit and we still have some fuel left. Of course, you won't be going into a stable orbit on most flights out of system, and you don't have to. You can just launch at the right time and burn straight up for it. But with as low as the thrust to weight ratio is, you might want to do a double burn, namely burn once, then do an orbit and then finish escaping from Kerbin. Just because it takes so long and you move so far through your orbit before you're actually out of it. In any case, we're gonna wait till we're on the light side. Come on. Just so that we can see what we have left. So just gonna get rid of that ever so slightly. There we go. Okay, so this is what you will be taking to Eeloo. This is your interplanetary craft with its 2 detachable fuel tanks, and again, you need to keep track of those and detach them once they're done, but other than that you should be quite fine. So what you want to do when coming back to Kerbin? Well, going out to Eeloo is pretty simple. You simply adjust your inclination and do a standard intercept. And where you save fuel, that is in pushing, well, in escaping from Kerbin. You try to swing yourself into as high an orbit as possible, and then you just intercept Eeloo. But in coming back to Kerbin, you want to adjust your orbit before coming back in. So the way this works is, if you get close enough without entering the sphere of influence to be able to zoom in on Kerbin and see what your orbit will look like as you're coming in. If it's on the sunward side of the sun on the planet, if you're coming in on the sunward side of the planet, you burn away from the sun to bring it closer in. If you're on the dark side of the planet, if your orbit's gonna come in on dark side of the planet, you burn towards the sun and you adjust it down. And the idea is that you're coming in straight from interplanetary space, you go low into the atmosphere down to 25-20 kilometers, and you burn your speed off on the atmosphere, because at that point you might not have enough fuel left to fully decrease it. Now if you're coming in on the north side of the planet, you burn downwards. If you're coming in on the south, you burn northwards, while still outside Kerbin's sphere of influence relative to the sun. Right? And that way you adjust your orbit down until it is manageable. And that should put you in a nice position to, well, deal with this. And when you need to get rid of stuff, you just decouple it. You might want to disable the fuel tanks you're not currently using until you get to Eeloo, just to make sure you're not carrying dead weight when you could be getting rid of a fuel tank. But that is entirely up to you, so... well, here's a ship that can go where you need it to go, and... well, hope you enjoyed this. Feel free to put any questions in the comment section, and... well, thank you all for watching, and I hope to see you next time.